technical issues. I've had loads of technical issues. Can you guys hear that? And it keeps going off. My headphones keep telling me, please charge, you're destroying the battery. And everything sounds really quiet. They're not using Bluetooth because the battery was like low, they're using the wire. So I think I'm gonna have to take them off. But that might screw up the audio. And now the stream is lagging. Has there been any good news today? How's the audio on the stream, guys? Now it's too loud, now it's too quiet. What is going on? This is ironic. Very ironic. I'm feeling a lot of pressure from the sound system right now. The sound level in the studio. Oh my gosh. What is happening? What? Hold on a second. Everything's stabilized now. Hello? Hello? Is the stream working? I've never had this many issues at once at the start of any stream in years. What the hell? I'm so confused. Okay, first of all, is the audio balance okay? How's the audio? It has been almost 10 minutes and I haven't even started yet. I mean, this is originally going to start at 3, but it's almost 2:30. What is happening? Is the stream working now? Like, is the audio there? Is there any lag? What's going on? SBL, I'm really sorry, mate. I don't know if you're still here, but like, this does not normally happen. My headphone batteries, for some reason, are out of battery. They keep telling me that I'm destroying the battery, so I need to charge. So I've put them on charge, but the red light isn't showing for when they're charging, so I don't know what's going on with that. I still haven't had my breakfast, which is why I've got food here, and there was lag, and then the audio wasn't working, like it wasn't registering OBS, and it was really quiet for me, so this has been a mess. Alright, it normally doesn't start this, and it's completely thrown me off, so I'm really sorry now if I'm a bit out of it, guys. Hi, welcome. If the stream is working, I guess I'll start. Alright, I think the audio balance is okay. Right, let's just try this again. Hello, are we live? We are. Welcome back to Debate Direct, guys. This is episode 48. The intro was atrocious. We've been going for 10 minutes. I'm just gonna go on and get on with this, okay? So, welcome to episode 48. Now, as you may know, we're closing in on episode 50, which is a pretty big milestone for the series, or so let's say it's like going QOTD. And today is called Theorist 101, the how-to. It's been too long since I did a debate direct on game theories, and FNAF's anniversary is coming up soon. The last one of this kind was actually episode 39, which is in March. So today, I'm going to talk about how I think theorizing is best done in practice, what techniques and methods I prefer to use, and my overall experience in achieving convincing theories, even if they're wrong, using Five Nights at Freddy's as an example, alright? And today I'm joined by one collaborator, as you can see on the players list here. One collaborator who did make a brief appearance in Debate Direct 46 and is now starting to do a lot of collabs with me. The same guy is going to be appearing in Five Nights at Fan Games episode 13. Sound Pressure Studios, SPL Studios. His real name is like Robbie or something, but no one calls him that. I haven't got headphones, so I hope this works, but hello, SBL. You are live. Everyone can see you and hear you. Well, not see you, but...
What? Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Who are you and how are you?
I'm SPL Studios. I'm a game developer and a part-time live streamer. I'm good today.
I recently started watching this guy's streams. He did FNAF 1 Ultra Custom Night, guys. You should go check it out. I edited a compilation for his Clips channel as well. It's quite fun. Hope you guys can all hear him okay, because I haven't got any... Wait, actually, hang on.
Don't worry, I know how to check if my mic's okay.
It's not your mic, it's my sound stuff.
Is this
guys,
good?
Tell me, guys, because I've actually got spare earbud headphones. I hadn't even thought about this. I can just put these on. I don't like earbuds, so I don't normally wear these as often, but these will do fine as a substitute. I completely forgot I had these. So we won't have to worry about the audio screwing up. Brilliant. Brilliant. Anyways, so SPL, today we're talking about FNAF theories, and that's something you're familiar with. Well, not FNAF theories, just...
Sounds echoey.
Yeah, okay, let me fix that. Okay, the echo should be stopped in 3, 2, 1. Tell me if there's still echo. SPL, just speak. So, tell me about how...
Beep-bop.
Oh my god, everything's really loud for me now. Skibab on us. Skibab us. Epic Gamer style.
Skitty-bop, beep-bop.
Alright, I think the audio balance is good. Tell me if it's a problem, guys. Tell me if it's good. Alright, so... Don't ask. This is partly my own fault. I'm still eating breakfast at like 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon. I've done a
You know, I thought you would have had breakfast by now.
Right? Like, how did that happen? Time is just flying by, and I'm slow, but hey, it's all good. I've already had my coffee, so I'm set.
It's like, for the first half of summer, time lost its wings, but then suddenly found them again is now flying at literally 125 fucking miles per hour.
It's going up there. SPL's FNF, the character confirmed. Echo's now gone. Brilliant. Okay. Also, I don't know if we're still here, but Percentage Guy, Eddie Dude, and Livy, as well as DJ Hi, thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. Leave a like. So...
Super Mario DJ. I actually am planning on making a mod with Percentage Guys, so there's that.
Exactly, I heard about that. So you're doing a Friday Night Funking, not Five Nights at Freddy's. Friday Night at Funking.
I can't tell you how many people I've seen make the mistake of thinking FNF meant Five Nights Freddy or something like that.
Right. It's funny how similar they are. I'm not into Friday Night Funking, really, but I'm aware that they're what it is, and also there's loads of mods for it, including a Five Nights at Freddy's mod. There's Henry Stickmin, there's all kinds. The community for that game seems like it's doing really strong, I don't know. But yeah, nice.
Friday Night Funking's kind of toxic, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Shame, alright. Fair enough. I wouldn't know. But we're not here to talk about, well, we can if we want. So, today I'm talking about theorizing as a kind of practice, guys, in kind of concept. I'm going to use FNAF as an example because there's no one franchise or entity that I am quite as deeply familiar with, and I'm sure SPL is probably the same for you. So, we're going to get started. Also, I just realised I got to do my next stream notification. We've only got an hour. I think I'm going to push this Minecraft stream a bit further back as well. So don't panic about that, because I can just mute myself and you can continue talking while I'm doing it. It takes like a minute. So I'm just going to edit the time on this, guys, because I need to push it back, unfortunately. So let's get started, SPL. So how familiar are you with doing like theories, like, you know, like map pack game theories or any kind of theories? It could be, you know, like on different like books or movies or whatever. I don't know. Like literature rather than science.
I started theorizing back in like 2015, but I sucked at it. So oftentimes my theories would be very similar to other people's.
Yeah, no, same. We all start somewhere.
Yeah.
I used to love watching 8-Bit Gaming's theories back then, even though most of the theories weren't even theirs and were also trash. It was just it was wonderful. You know.
Oh yeah, I feel like around the time I started theorizing, the Foxy was a good guy theory, and the Springtrap is a good guy theory may have been still popular around then.
For real. Now, I'd say I became a Five Nights at Freddy's fan around March 2015, Fnaf 3. That was kind of my time, but in terms of actually doing...
Fan too.
Yeah, you too, nice. In terms of, like, properly actually writing my own theories and doing my own analysis, it wasn't until, like, 2018 or 19 when I started doing some of the deeper research I have now and actually going back on everything myself, rather than just watching MatPat and 8-Bit Gaming as I have for years, although they're pretty good. And I actually only got Reddit in like last year in like August, which is crazy that I've only had Reddit this long. Although I've been and gone from the Fnaf Theory subreddit. It's not a bad place, but it's not the most enjoyable place to be in this time. I don't know. I feel like it used to be something greater, but I missed out on it.
It's like I would put some of my theories on the FNAF theorizing subreddit or whatever it's called. I forgot the name of it.
r/FNAF theories, like, not Reddit.
Yeah, like r/FNAF theories. I would put my theories on there, but I feel like if I did, a bunch of MatPat stands would basically flame me, correcting me on one tiny ass thing.
I feel like the opposite would happen, actually. Most people there seem to despise MatPat. Although there's probably some MatPat stands, probably on the Game Theorist sub, maybe, instead. I think that could happen. But I think, really, the problem... We're already going on a tangent here. We're not talking about the topic at hand at all. The problem with the Five Nights at Freddy's theory subreddit is that despite supposedly being made up of all the experts and the most invested and the most experienced in the whole forum, this is partly Scott's fault for making a franchise that has such convoluted storytelling. But it's kind of... People there are really intolerant of ideas that go against the mainstream, and they're so quick to jump on anything that goes against their view. And this is just a trivial video game franchise. What are these people doing in their day-to-day lives? What's their political kind of approach? Like, holy shit. Because some people, though, they get so worked up, and they rely on things like Scott's, Steam and Reddit posts, and like insist on this and that as fact when it's not. I don't know. And I love people experimenting with really out there theories, even if they're wrong. I love it, but it's not what they say, it's how they say it, which is a shame, because I think there's a lot of really intelligent young people over there.
I mean, yeah, sounds about right.
Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm biased because I've had personal bad experiences there, but it's the only subreddit I've genuinely disliked in all my time on Reddit. So let's focus. So, what we're talking about today is really how we do theories, right? I mean, let's start simple. What do you think is the most important thing? QOTD, what do you think is the single most important thing to consider when crafting a theory? Let's say you want to make a theory on the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline. What's the most important thing that could be applied to it? I mean, it doesn't have to be, I don't know. What's just important?
Easy one, evidence.
Yeah? Right,
evidence,
okay.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. So, in order to make a theory, I'm going to take my shirt off because it's kind of heavy. In order to make a good theory, you need evidence. There's a whole process. You may have noticed I put chains on the thumbnail, guys. If anyone here is a history student, or even not a history student, just only did history at like year 8, you'll probably know that I'm referring to, chain of analysis. It was one of like the core skills. Depends on how your school did it. But yeah, like when you're say you're trying to put together which order do the FNAF games happen. It's something really simple. You need to have evidence that connects ideas. You see what I did with Security Puppet and Give Cake here? The only there are so many big things in the FNAF franchise which we only have like 1 or 2 pieces of evidence for, but have been confirmed since, which is kind of shocking, really, you think for something as big as the first victim of William Afton, there'd be like tons of different hints about it, because Sister Location told the story of Elizabeth in 3 ways. You had the minigame, you had the voice lines, and you had Baby's dialogue. But here, it wasn't until the 6th game, since the 2nd game, about 3 years later, that we even got a second version of, you know, the events of, you know, William driving up outside, you know, he murders Charlie and kills the puppet.
Ass.
And I mean, in some ways, I know there's been a lot of heated debates about it, so I'm not going to claim anything, but I mean, let's say this is the retcon. Maybe the newer game replaces the older one, you know, if you think the details don't fit, because I think people pick apart on literal details too much in this franchise, especially when Scott has consistently shown that even in the same games, he doesn't have consistent sprites for his characters or character models. Like, the Wizards and the originals in FNAF 1 are the same characters, but there is nothing they have in common visually. Even the endoskeletons are completely different. But
I actually have a theory on how they're the same, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
What's your theory?
So basically, I don't know if you've played FNAF AR, but
I have.
in the workshop, you can change out your animatronic CPUs. Like,
yes.
let's say you had a Freddy animatronic, you could change its CPU to, let's say, Ballora. So when you sent your Freddy to a friend, and they would encounter Freddy as if he were Ballora.
He behaves like Ballora, even if the plush suit is still Freddy. No.
Yeah, like, so what if the animatronics from FNAF 1 had the Wyvern's CPUs? Because otherwise, there's no way that the FNAF 1 and Wyverns could have been connected other than that.
So what we're saying is, okay, so the endoskeletons are literally different endoskeletons. How can they be the same? Because they're different, you know. The remnant has to be in the metal somewhere. So what you're saying is, FNAF AR has added to... Sorry, the music's getting too loud. I need to turn this down. The way FNAF AR has added concepts to canon, which is a really good way of looking at it, I think, and this whole CPU thing actually applies to the animatronics, and the bit where the actual remnant was, you know, like possessing the metal was in this kind of CPU component that was transferred to a completely separate endoskeleton. I think I'd accept that as canon. I think that makes sense. It'd probably be something technical. Because, you know, I mean, the thing is, the problem with the FNAF community as well is that they take a detail like this, and then they take it too far and take it too literally. Yeah, but in FNAF 1, they don't have the exact same behaviour, and they don't use the mask.
Okay.
But the doors would work in the Wizards, you know. I'm not trying to shit on your theory. I actually think that's a really good one. That's very original. I've not heard something like that before. And it's actually incorporating FNAF AR, which I've had a lot of problems with, as DJ knows.
Yeah, I know a lot of people think that FNAF AR isn't canon. Like, I think, as a game, it's not canon. I think there's certain aspects of it that are canon, though. I
think it's the same with all games. Just don't take things too seriously, guys. It's a video game franchise. So... Yeah,
don't take it too seriously.
What SPL has done there has found a connection. He has linked a piece of gameplay, which is often important to story in a video game, that's the purpose of it. He's linked gameplay in one game to story in another, in a way that makes sense. And, like, I think my critique is pretty ridiculous, you know. So, I'd say that's a pretty solid theory. That's at least an 8 out of 10. Because, again, like, you know... I don't know why no one agrees with me on this, but I'm of the view that, like, FNAF AR is part of a new continuity and it's like a separate universe, but I think as the novels have shown, all the concepts and stuff are shared, all the kind of logic is... I don't know. There's going to be people who disagree with me on even those basic things, so I can't really use that, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on. So... The first thing's evidence, because as Sherlock, I think Sherlock Holmes has a few good quotes in this. I've actually read all of Sherlock Holmes like once through, and a couple of them a few times. So he said, you've got to fit your theories around evidence, not create, you know, evidence to fit into your theory. Too many people get carried away and start making assumptions or like forget what isn't like actual evidence to fit around their idea. Like, for example, let's take some of the early ones, because that's when, you know, this stuff wasn't as formalized, the franchise
guy equal phone guy. What about that one?
Right? Like, that seems like a logical assumption because they're both mysterious and purple guy's hand looks like a phone.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But the thing is,
honestly, I feel like the reason purple guy's hand looked like a phone was really just because of Scott's error when making the sprite for him.
Percentage guy, we're just talking about, basically, I'm giving an example of a bad theory, okay? So, the important thing is evidence, to have evidence fit, or theories fit around new evidence rather than the other way around. Scott said this himself, pretty much. So if you have, let's say, so phone guy is purple guy, what's the evidence for that? Well, it's all kind of shaky and circumstantial, the sprite kind of looks like a phone, yeah, but that could be anything. That could be a fucking banana, couldn't it? Because...
yeah, people thought purple guy's badge was a fucking piece of toast, for God's sakes.
This was early in the franchise, so things weren't as formalized and, there wasn't quite as much to overanalyze at the time. But, people were saying, oh, well, purple guy must be something or someone we already know. It must all be connected. And, they both like Foxy, because purple guy's smiling at Pirate's Cove, and phone guy liked Foxy in FNAF 2. We mentioned that in the phone call, and it's more a number of coincidences, which normally I would say is good evidence. The thing is, as time went on...
Yeah, but... Yeah, FNAF 3 basically disproved it.
Right, it completely debunked all that because they both died in completely different ways, in different rooms.
Phone guy was supposedly killed by Golden Freddy because of in FNAF 4, not FNAF 4, FNAF 1, Night 4's phone call. Phone guy died, and there was a scream that sounded a lot like Golden Freddy's, so you can assume that he was killed by Golden Freddy.
Scott deliberately set it up so that all 5 animatronics were there. To try and and then people have been theorizing, which one exactly killed phone guy, because I think it's weird. It doesn't actually match up with the gameplay. Freddy's playing his music box, but you can also hear Foxy thumping on the door, and you also hear groaning, which must be Chica because Bonnie would be outside because the door would be disabled. But then you also get Golden Freddy's scream last. But the idea is phone guy dies where you play in FNAF 1 in the office. Purple guy dies in the opposite end of what is probably the same building, getting spring-locked.
Yeah, the safe room.
It doesn't matter, and there's no proof that Phone Guy faked his death because, that's just never been...
Yeah.
There's just no evidence.
You can't base a theory around speculation. Speculation cannot be used in a theory.
Exactly, and I think, you can qualify when you're saying this isn't a theory I'm presenting as a rock solid, this is what happened, I'm presenting this as maybe what happened, or even this is just kind of a possibility, which is okay. But yeah, when you're saying Foxy is a good guy as well, I think the next thing I want to talk about is interpretation, because this is why I despise FNAF 4 so much. It's probably one of the best, it's arguably the best FNAF game, but in terms of how it fit into the whole story, Scott said himself, it's too open to interpretation. It was vague to the point of meaninglessness, and it's kind of it's frustrating because there's been so many different versions of it that we don't know really what is even important, never mind what actually happened. And Foxy being a good guy was based on, he doesn't jump scare you and get in your face, so maybe the guy had a heart attack, and this idea that the player had a heart attack was completely fabricated by the community. There was no evidence in the game whatsoever that was the case.
Yeah.
Even though the game over screen was the exact same for getting killed by Foxy as with everybody else.
I feel like the reason Foxy's jump scare only had him peek through the doorway was that, since I use Click Team, I can basically see how FNAF 1 works if I can get the MFA file.
Nice.
And basically, Click Team uses frames for the actives, which is how the animations work.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there's a maximum of 44 frames in one animation. If you added more frames, then the animation would likely not work. That's why the Pop Goes ending cutscene is divided into multiple parts, as seen in its MFA file. So I feel like to keep Foxy's jump scare short, it only had one animation instead of 2 parts, with a second part being Foxy lunging at you.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta remember, guys, especially with the other games, Scott rushes his games. He made them alone in a month, and with the other animatronics, they all sneak into your office before they pounce. With Foxy, Scott has actually always tried to maintain a kind of realistic, you can do cam stalling, right? Scott didn't want to break the immersion of, have them be on the camera as they're jump scaring you, because that'd be ridiculous. So from Foxy running straight down the corridor, he can't, like, then... I mean, he could have... I guess he could have made it so he, like, sneaks behind you, but having him poke in, he'd have to, like, do a pretty awkward motion to actually just, like, get to you like the others. So, yeah, I think it was, as SPL was saying, technical. Also, percentage guy, this might be just my interpretation, but, like, this is how I've understood it for 7 years. And I don't think I'm mentally and emotionally prepared to have this taken away from me as well. Not like Sidetrap. Phone guy is in the office when he makes the calls. He mentions the back room because he knows that he's going to be caught and he's going to be stuffed into a suit in the back room. When he says back room...
Because he wants to be freed from the suit.
He's referring to parts and service, not the safe room, because parts and service is where you get stuffed in the game over screen, and that's a room near the back of the restaurant. I believe, for some reason this is never confirmed in the games, but I believe the entrance would be somewhere near the bathrooms. Maybe between the bathrooms and the kitchen, or the bathrooms and the stage, so that would be towards the opposite side.
Yeah, like, some people
weird.
get confused about the, some people get confused about, like, where the cameras are facing. Like, they think that the bathroom camera is facing more towards the entrance, even though in reality it's facing the opposite way. Because it shows buttons, it doesn't actually show where it's panning.
Yeah, it's weird. The, like, visualizing the FNAF locations is often quite challenging because of how vague the camera angles are and how dark it is. With FNAF 1 more so than like FNAF 2. FNAF 2 is quite bright. FNAF 2 is a lot more lit up. But yeah. Anyway, so let's just establish what we've got so far. So, obviously, you gotta have evidence and you gotta be able to like make connections. So, run you through a decent theory here. Security Puppet is the same events as Take Cake to the Children, but from a different perspective, because in both cases we have a child outside of either Freddy's or Fredbear's location. That's actually disputed, but it doesn't really matter. We have a child outside of a Fazbear Entertainment location, and we have the puppet involved.
Fredbear's Family Diner.
Right? And it's pretty vague, but there's loads of other evidence which kind of ties this all together. Like, we know Henry's daughter was Charlotte, Charlie, like UCN like confirmed stuff. We know that she had to have been the first because she gave life to the the missing children incident 5, all that stuff. There's too much evidence for me to actually explain in like a whole thread right now. But the point is that even though it seemed vague at first, there's an obvious connection. You've got the child outside and the puppet, and it just makes sense when you kind of piece together the whole thing. We also get confirmation in the true ending of Pizza Sim that the puppet is Henry's daughter. Like, he literally says, my daughter, and all that with the visual.
Lefty.
Yeah. And the thing is, right, it's not just about, okay, so here's the evidence, here's the rational, logical connection, right? All of those skills are in there. And it's not just, okay, here's something that's less open to interpretation, or here's an interpretation that aligns with the facts. It's also, after you've created that theory, does it hold up? Can it withstand criticism? Can it bend and flex and kind of morph into something better to, fit the criticism, or does it just break? Because if the theory is brittle, obviously it's not very good. Theories have to be flexible, as a lot of new releases since FNAF 4 have shown. Sister Location and the Survival Logbook especially completely flipped everything we thought we knew upside down. So we have to change our theories to fit those facts now. The recon, you mean the retcon, DJ? I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's one retcon. I think Scott was trolling us about that. I think maybe he sees it that way, but I think there's been numerous retcons in this series. Most of them it's minor, so it doesn't really change anything. I think all of Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was a retcon, because technically, Scott didn't change any of the details in the game, but it's like the meaning of everything completely changed after FNAF World. Completely got changed. Right? What about the box? Fuck the box, man. I don't even care at this point. I'm happy to just accept Matt Pat's interpretation of the box, because it was so out there and it's like never been referenced since, unless you count the Pizza Sim Matt. I'm just gonna go with him on that one. But yeah, you get what I mean.
I don't know, maybe it's like a bunch of souls or something, like the key to how to stop everything. Paragraph 4 and other
I
bullshit?
don't even know. I honestly don't even care. The thing is, right, we're getting to, like, ascended galaxy brain levels now. There's the levels of trying to work out Fnaf 4, realizing that, you know, this theory is right, this theory is wrong. Okay, maybe we need to adapt to this new evidence. Okay, guys, it's fine, I get it, I was wrong. It doesn't even matter, because unless you want to go into an interpretation of Michael Afton as a character, I think the only thing to really take out of Fnaf 4 is that in 1983, William Afton has a son who's chomped by Fredbear, and Mike's involved in, like, making that happen. Like, I don't think there's anything else to really take out of the game in terms of the timeline other than that final minigame, because it's frustrating to try to understand what was happening, but when you actually think about it, it's pretty much inconsequential. FNAF 4, the Nightmare Nights, whether they're real or not, like, they're one of the few things not referenced in Pizza Sim. It's like Henry didn't even know about all of that, despite having deep knowledge on sister location and stuff. It's weird. Yeah, exactly, DJ. Yeah, some things are best left forgotten. SBL, I've been talking too much. So, I've talked about evidence, I've talked about kind of line of logic, chain of interpretation, and interpretation. Anything else you want to add to the mix in terms of, like, theory crafting? Do you want to talk about maybe, like, specific methods?
I mean, yeah, I think I have one in mind.
Tell me your ideas.
Like, you want to figure out how something works and, like, how something goes and, you know, how it all really happens, and then you gotta search for evidence. If you can't find any, then you should probably wait for that evidence to actually be found. Because no one says the evidence has to be found by you. Someone else can find the evidence.
Yeah. I was late to this game, like, I have my own original theories about even some of the earlier games, but the evidence was found by thousands of others long before me. Years. I think there's another thing to add. Sometimes we have to make necessary assumptions simply due to a lack of evidence or an absence of evidence, and usually it's temporary. But, like, you know, excuse me, there's like have you guys heard of the term video game logic?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
FNAF is a franchise which had facial recognition in 1987, despite the fact that it didn't exist as we know it until, well, it did exist in the 80s, but not as we know it now. And, like, let's do sister location, that's a better example. Sister location has technology more advanced than what the military had at the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's around, what, 1986-ish? And it's like, they've got, like, an underground bunker, it's huge. They've got the faces from the novels, which, like, Charlotte was making. You've got, like, these, like speakers, and, like, if you look at the blueprints, you know, voice mimic, I think facial recognition was also in there. There's a whole bunch of things. There's a whole luring thing. Like, considering these kind of things, I don't think it's always good to apply realistic kind of standards to FNAF. I think it's also worth noting, the reason I remember this is because I recently rewatched it. In the Scott interview, Dorco did, Scott did say, after FNAF World, he needed to mold the story of FNAF 4 into something better, something grounded, not in reality, but in storytelling. So as a story, FNAF 4 should now be grounded, but it's definitely not realistic. It's very sci-fi, all the illusion disc crap, you know.
I mean, to be fair, seeing as how advanced a lot of the technology in the FNAF series is, we can basically agree that William Afton had an IQ off the charts and was basically dangerously smart. I mean,
I think as well as that, you know, a lot of the best franchises have exciting kind of, like, anachronisms. I believe that's the word, anachronisms. It may have been that in the FNAF universe, technology progressed at a faster rate than ours, because if this kind of thing is being used for a pizzeria as something as trivial as that, you know, what are the governments of the world going to have? But FNAF doesn't deal with that. It's very indoors. It's isolated and hidden away in the pizzeria. And, you know, maybe it's just you don't need to worry about the details that don't matter. You know, you can make whatever makes sense up for yourself, because that doesn't affect the story. And, you know, we've seen a lot of different sides of FNAF as well, where the novel trilogy went super sci-fi, like Sister Location. Fazbear Frights has leaned much more into the original 3 or 4 games, and it's super paranormal. It's gone in new directions with more paranormal, less sci-fi kind of thing. I believe there's even like a part in one of the stories where someone's saying like, is this like some AI, advanced AI trickery, or is this like ghosts? I think it might be 1:35 a.m. Like Delilah's kind of trying to think like, is this like a haunted doll or is this like an AI? And she's talking to a friend. I can't remember. It's been a while. I bloody love 1:35 a.m. though. Delilah's probably one of my favorite Frights protags. Such a shame how she ended up. Deserve better. Oh man. So yeah. I'm not sure what else to say. SBL, is there anything else you want to add? We can move on to another section. I'll think of something. I'm using the description as a reference. And chat, feel free to add to anything. I'm almost done eating my breakfast. I've been going slowly because I've been talking in between. Normally it
The
takes
Faz
10 minutes.
bunker? Oh yeah, I remember the Faz bunker.
Yeah, man. Like, even though that's not even close to canon, that's what I call it. I call it the Faz bunker.
Okay, DJ, like,
Yeah.
you just remind me of something, like, some things that are best left forgotten forever, like, maybe that's Henry saying, I was surprised when entertainment may never be stopped or something, and he just locks away plans to stop William or whatever, maybe?
You know what? I'll be right back.
That's just speculation, though.
I need to go AFK, guys. SBL chat, have a conversation. We'll be back in like a minute.
Alright. Octopus. That's how I'm pronouncing your name now for no reason. And thank you. I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. Livy, that's kind of what I said earlier, but yes, that's a good one. That's a good one, DJ. That's a good point. Your thoughts, lads? not exactly true. I don't think that's true, man.
Hello.
I think it's safe to say that Elizabeth died after the Biome theory. Hello, Matt.
Hello. Hang on, after? What? Hold on. I'm not going to process that yet. Guys, I'm just doing a notification for my next stream. I just did the Instagram one while I was AFK. It seemed like an appropriate thing to do. So don't mind this. SBL, what did I miss? What have I missed? I'll read chat myself. Anything interesting?
Just mainly people discussing their own theories.
Fair enough. Because if we use a few examples, we can really dig into like how you actually got there, which would be really interesting to me. Because a lot of these kind of theories are very mainstream. Although a lot of people will be like, "Yeah, mainstream equals bad," there are reasons why certain theories are more popular. And I think looking at wrong theories as well is a really good one. Like we should look at like Mic Trap maybe.
Mic Trap.
That kind of thing.
I mean, it sounded good at the time, but it was quickly disproven by Scott.
Exactly. The thing is, right, it arises from a misunderstanding, from an interpretation, but it was actually a valid interpretation that most people made, myself included. I genuinely believed Mic Trap at the time, because at the time, before Scott clarified, I thought it fit the evidence perfectly. We were showing... Michael was speaking and Springtrap appeared, and we'd just been shown that Michael is a purple guy in the early... Like, what did Scott want us to think? Who would have thought, oh no, there's two purple guys, they're just completely separate despite having all the same details? Because you can complain that the sprites are different colours, but, you know, there are loads of different colours of purple that William Afton has been. Like, every one of his sprites in each game is a different... And then we got Mustard Man in Pizza Sim, so... I don't know, man.
Okay, to be fair, Purple Guy, just because he's called Purple Guy doesn't mean he needs to literally be purple.
Right? Like...
It could be like a guy who wears purple, and then a guy who's literally purple.
Exactly. But now that we know, you know, Matt Pat did a theory and Scott said, take a side relief, guys. This guy, I'm not going to say it, because I can't, but... this is a good... basically, Scott said Matt's confirmed two purple guys, Biome versus 87, and Mic Trap versus Will Trap. Like, he solved a lot, but Scott didn't actually say, Matt solved my game. He just said, go here, take a sigh of relief, he's done it. That was one of Matt's greatest
Yeah, but I feel like
theories,
that
actually.
may
That's got
actually
everything
been
right.
what caused people to just think Matt was right about everything.
Yeah, which he isn't, and we shouldn't just blindly buy into one-person theories. For example, although Matt Pat, I think, has been pretty much almost right about everything ever, that's an exaggeration, it's not true, the time that he concluded that Michael was a robot, like Charlie Android, made me cringe, because that was the worst theory he's ever said.
Well,
it did not align with some of the basic facts, and that was in like his final theory, as well, so that was really disappointing. But he did...
Okay,
I think he did go back on that, and he did actually finally realise that Mike was the Foxy Mask brother. I thought that was obvious, since it's the location, but it took, what was the story called? Frights 4.
Okay, Octopus in the chat, that sounds like absolute bullshit.
Hold on. Bullshit? Oh, blimey. That is some emotional, evocative language there. What was it called? Step Closer, that was it. It took Step Closer to confirm.
Chat.
For
Fnaf 1
Matt Pat.
cannot be a nightmare. It's just impossible. There's no way.
Yeah, let me just read chat. So let's talk some theories. Let's use some examples. I don't care if they're terrible. Give me terrible theories so I can deconstruct them. That'd be great.
I like debunking theories to make me look smart.
Yeah, right. See, this is what I absolutely despise about the sub, though. They go even further with that, and they're like, oh yeah, FNAF theories is about winning arguments and competing, and it's like, are we not interested in a pursuit of truth anymore? Or at the very least, the grounds for writing a fun story? Because even with a lot of wrong theories make really good AU material, I find. Even if they're wrong, it doesn't really matter, because sometimes they tell a good story. And I think I would rather theories that told a good story than actually fit with all of the evidence. Because when people try and fit everything together, sometimes the story isn't that good. Because I think Scott is good at some things, but I think his storytelling is a bit hit and miss. I don't know. Some of the beats hit, some of them don't. It's not bad, but it could be better. But that's just me being picky. Anyone can say, because everyone's a critic. I come from a family of, like, serious critics. Like, every time we go to the movies, I'm the only one who walks out with a smile on their face, because they're all really critical and, you know, snobby about it. It's probably just because I have low standards.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna take a guess. Is it exactly like, they could have danced the time bit more or something like that?
Right? Yeah, I mean, no, they're not stupid, because all these people are very well read with, like, literature and, like, theatre productions and stuff, but, I mean, so am I guess, but I have lower standards, I think. I'm just not as picky.
I mean, I'm kind of picky myself, but
yeah.
I try not to be picky.
Yeah. I mean, let me just see chat. So, Livy talked about form of evidence. Yep, good cure to the answer, same as SBL. That's true, DJ. I think the Freddy files are pretty useless for actual theory crafting because it's pretty much just a book version of the games. You can experience the FNAF games in a book form, and then it's got like fan theories on there. But that emphasis at the end was pretty good.
There's one thing from the Freddy files that I have noted down, though.
Yeah.
The Freddy files pointed out that in FNAF 1, the animatronic stuff bear randall skeletons into suits and stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in FNAF 1, Bonnie goes into the back room. There's a bear randall skeleton in plain sight.
Yep.
Yay does nothing about it.
Yeah.
There could be something else going on behind the scenes.
I think there's this duality. I think there was always some truth in what Phone Guy was saying and what the technicians were trying to work out. But I think that was to show the player that the animatronics, they're not doing what they're doing because of what Phone Guy is saying. They are haunted and they are aware and actively trying to consciously kill you. They are trying to kill you. It's not. They don't think you're an endoskeleton. They are trying to kill you because they think you're the murderer. Or they're just...
Yeah, exactly. It's just speculation, but yeah, I agree. They probably think that you're William Afton, even though you're playing as Mike Schmidt, who is supposedly Michael Afton.
Yeah. I think it actually goes deeper than that because they've killed numerous other night guards. There's an implication, at least, in the FNAF 1
like
location.
Jeremy Fitzgerald.
And
or tried to.
I know they're possessed by children, but I don't think it's that they keep thinking everyone's William. In the novels, we get this brilliant speech from Dave Miller, and he talks about how, they've been described as feral, like animals, by Charlie the Puppet in UCN. But he also says, like, they don't know better. You are intruders in their home. I am one of them. And I think it's as simple as that. They're just kind of like animals protecting their territory. And they've just kind of made a habit of killing the night guard. And for some reason, Fazbear Entertainment keeps hiring them, even though they could just lock the building and just leave the animatronics to roam with no humans inside. Just destroyed the whole premise of the game. Just focus on cleaning
the
up
way I viewed the novels the way I can't fucking speak.
Take your time.
When
take
it comes to the actual novels, if I consider them canon or not, them as novels, no, but elements from the novels, yeah.
I think it's important to make this distinction because I think even Scott doesn't make this, but MatPat framed it perfectly. It's one of those few things which he did get spot on. Canon is like all official material in the FNAF universe. So canon is something that's been like kind of obviously related to the story and kind of got the Scott stamp of approval. But there are different continuities. A single continuity is like a timeline or universe. You know how the Marvel universe is like 616 and 999. It's got all these different like parallel universes. That's kind of what the novels are. They're a parallel universe with a different version of the story, which isn't part of the. It's not directly part of game events, but concepts and ideas can go across both. And I think the new game is the same.
What I said.
Exactly. I think Help Wanted, Special Delivery, and Security Breach are a completely new timeline, but people are insisting that it's kind of somehow after Pizza Sim, which I don't think works for a few reasons.
Help Wanted could happen after Pizza Sim, but there's no way. They would be bankrupt.
Right, because the thing is, Fazbear Entertainment magically coming back from the dead doesn't make sense, and it completely destroys all the meaning and all the emotional impact of Pizza Sim. Oh, actually, William Afton survived, and everyone else died, and it was all for nothing. It's unsatisfying.
There's just no way.
And the thing is, there's also been a weirdly low amount of references to Pizza Sim compared to the other 5. This could just be another universe where the first 5 games did happen, but it's like an alternative path to Pizza Sim, where Henry doesn't exist, maybe, because there's just these kind of holes which people are just saying like, don't matter. Scott said it's canon. And canon doesn't mean continuity. Although, maybe Scott did mean continuity, but if he did, then he's fucked up. Because unless Security Breach somehow explains it, which I don't want it to, because I was really satisfied with the ending of Pizza Sim and UCN as an epilogue. Whatever. I'm
gonna
diverting. I need to read chat. I've been reading chat. I'm just trying to speed read it.
Alright, Octopus in the chat, there is no Phantom Golden Freddy. That he doesn't exist. That's just Phantom Freddy.
Interesting. Okay, so Elizabeth did die before FNAF 4. I think the thing is, it's really loose evidence. There's actually no direct evidence until, like, the fourth closet that the Afton family is even a thing. Like, there's no proof that the boys in FNAF 4 are even related to Purple Guy. But I think there's been a lot of circumstantial... Well, we got Michael Afton in the game files and Sister Location. Like, Sister Location in the novels pretty much confirmed all that stuff. So, with that knowledge, that's like an assumption we can make, because it's kind of proven now. The empty girl's bedroom is... I'm trying to remember the line of evidence for this one. Elizabeth, like, the thing is, FNAF 4 and Sister Location are kind of happening before and after each other. It's a bit mixed up. Like, the minigames of... The Sister Location minigames are happening before FNAF 4's minigames, but the gameplay of Sister Location is happening after, so it's a bit mixed up. But Elizabeth has to have died before FNAF 4 for things to really make sense. I'm not going to go on a tangent because it would take forever to explain and lots of different speculative theories, but she definitely died first. It just doesn't make sense otherwise, trust me on this one. I can go into it if you want, but I need to read the rest of chat. But yeah, I agree, DJ. Freddy Files has some useful stuff. I'm not saying it's useless, I just think it's the least relevant. I don't know how to pronounce that. GD. FNAF 1 isn't a nightmare, but the FNAF 4 might fit that description. Maybe UCN? I don't know. Oh no, FNAF theories. Look guys, it's Shadow Bonnie. Oh no, FNAF theories. Freddy Files literally just fan art them out. It does, yeah. I think Scott commissioned some of those,
actually,
I'm not sure.
I should probably tell you guys this, but Scott's actually working with someone who made FNAF fan art.
Yeah, those I think those were commissioned for the book, at least some of them. It's not like stolen fan art, although where Scott has unintentionally had that happen, he's, fixed it. So. Some fan games are also inspired by debunked theories. Yes, Percentage Guy. I can't name them now, but there's lots of
I can
fan
agree
games.
with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of great FNAF games from like 2015, 2016, 2017 based on theories from before Pizza Sim and UCN kind of clarified stuff where like, oh, Michael is Springtrap and Sister Location happens after FNAF 1 or, crazy stuff like that. But yeah, that's great. What about Count the Ways? What do you mean Count the Ways? We're jumping topics here a bit, so... I don't understand what you meant by that. But yeah, I think Mr. Hippo was right. Read into every little thing said and you'll just drive yourself crazy.
That sounds like the FNAF Theorist the subreddit.
Okay, so... Phantom Freddy, some people are saying is a Phantom Golden Freddy because he has, like, yellowing on his suit.
But that's literally the other Phantoms.
Yeah, I think... well, no, actually, he's the only one with, like... obvious yellow on him. I think Scott did that to throw us off, but also I think we need to really understand the nature of the Phantoms to explain this, because that's
to be fair,
yeah, go on.
Phantom Freddy used Withered Golden Freddy's model.
Exactly, it's missing the ear, so it's like that's Golden Freddy, not Freddy, isn't it? Based on the model.
But the thing is, like, it's basically confirmed that it's Phantom Freddy.
I mean, the name is Phantom Freddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't matter. The thing is, guys, I think you got to understand that I think this is further shown by one of the recent Fazbear Fright stories, but that's not really important. You don't need to read whatever it was called. I don't remember. Some of the newer Fazbear Frights are pretty less memorable, to be honest. What we found.
We both agree that real quick that In the Flesh is the worst Fazbear Fright story.
I'm not sure. I think it's not one of my favorites, but there's a lot of pretty bad ones in Volume 6 and 7, if I'm honest. No, not Volume 6. Volume 7 and 8. I felt they've gotten worse. I don't know. I'll come back to that. I just want to say, the Phantoms. So, the evidence for working out what these guys are, you got to really tie it together, right? The evidence is that the name... They're called Phantoms... and when they jump scare, they don't kill you. They're just... People have said they're hallucinations in your mind.
It's only an illusion created by your head.
And one of the teachers said, like,
Illusion.
it's all in your head.
Created by an illusion disc, perhaps?
No, it isn't. I don't think so. There were teachers saying it's all in your head. They're phantoms. Their eyes are the exact same as Springtrap's. And we got a Fazbear Fright story where Springtrap created lots of kind of reality-bending hallucinations or some kind of paranormal stuff that a night guard at Fazbear's Fright experienced. I think the phantoms are just extensions of Springtrap. It's him. He is creating these paranormal events somehow. It's not really probably explained, but it's probably to do with agony. It's just a kind of paranormal thing Springtrap does in FNAF 3 to try and attack the night guard when he can't reach him. There's not solid evidence of this, but I think there's enough circumstantial to at least put it on the table, because, you know, they all have Springtrap's eyes. It's a weird mix of characters. Like, there's no Phantom Bonnie. It's a bit random. The Freddy's more like Golden Freddy, like, and, you know, the toys aren't there. It's all in your head, so they're not real. They're not in your mind so much as created, like, by Springtrap. The point is that there are no souls. The phantoms are soulless. They're just creations of Springtrap, I'm pretty sure. I think the Fazbear Fright story confirmed that, but there was... I can't remember what else. I think their UCN game mechanics is also a hint. Like, they allow Springtrap to attack. I mean, you could just say that's just because they're both in FNAF 3, but, like, that's kind of what they did in FNAF 3 as well. Yeah, whatever. This sounds lame. I'm not saying it properly because I'm not in the game right now, so sorry.
So, here's a question.
Yeah.
Are Springtrap and Scraptrap the same entity?
Springtrap and Scraptrap? Yeah, duh. For sure. Is this a test?
Yeah, but just one thing.
Yeah.
It's a similar problem to the classics and the wyverns.
Yes.
We know those two are the same, but they have different endoskeletons.
I can actually prove empirically, 100%, without even needing to see William Afton in the credits, that Springtrap and Scraptrap are one and the same. Alright. And I normally don't do this type of theory, but actually, if you look at the character models, it's there. So, I'm trying to find an image of Springtrap that Scott made. I'm pretty sure this is it. The fan models are accurate enough anyway, but I want to be thorough with this. So, unfortunately, we don't have any decent kind of renders of Scraptrap. Like, we're really lacking.
There's no official render of him, unfortunately.
I think this is the closest I'm going to get. I think this is a fan edit. It's not the best, but it's going to have to do. The face is kind of what we want to focus on anyway, and I know the res is low, but stick with me, guys, okay? We're lacking renders, but this is based on, like, you can see the UCN jump scare here. I think this is from, I don't even know, to be honest. I'll use other renders if you don't believe me, but I think these will suffice, alright? If you look closely at Scraptrap's left ear and his eyelids... Okay, it's not really showing properly there. His left ear and his eyelids are the same as Springtrap's model. But they're pieces of Springtrap that are still there. That's what I'm trying to say.
Afton's actual skeleton, though? That's kind of the thing.
Scott
like his actual
can't
body.
do human anatomy, so I would just ignore it. Scraptrap's model's a mess for a number of reasons, and Scott, I'd just ignore
Scott
it.
is kind of terrible with consistency, so...
Yeah, like, it's, again, the thing is, there's actually a little bit that does connect them. It's still as bad as the Willards, but it's not as bad, because... Ignore the skeleton stuff, because Scott is terrible at modelling humans. I don't know what he was thinking, because there's random, like, spheres of flesh. People have, like, deconstructed this and like, found what's underneath. Like, the material for the bones is inconsistent and, like... weirdly shaped, and also like the skull is it's just very weird. But if you actually look at the suit, if we focus on the suit, the eyelids and the ears are the same.
Yeah,
it might be hard to tell, but they are the same. And also, like, these two are far too similar not to be the same character. They're both green, they've both got a corpse inside them. There's no other characters which are like them. We know for a fact that William Afton is Springtrap as shown in the novels. The credits in Pizza Sim confirm as much. He even says in Pizza Sim... You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, it's still me. He's literally saying to the player, my model's changed, but I'm still Springtrap. There's a lot of evidence.
Deactivated.
But you're good to point this out, because people genuinely did criticize it. Because, like, we can't just make assumptions, oh, just because there's all these coincidences. How do we empirically know they actually are the same character? And I think, if all else fails, what makes sense for the story? You know, if this isn't William Afton, who is it? Where does he come from? Well, you know, Henry refers to him as his old friend as well in the ending. There's loads of evidence to say this is William Afton. And then, okay, so how do we know that Springtrap and Fnaf 3 is William Afton? Well, he calls himself Springtrap in the Twisted Ones, which was cringy as hell and awful. They massacred my boy, but as theory evidence, it works. And, you know, we know that he used the Spring Bonnie suit a lot from the novels. I think, if you really want to count it, Springtrap and Fnaf AR, I think has the same voice as Scraptrap. Springtrap and Fnaf AR, it's definitely Springtrap, not Scraptrap, they have the exact same voice. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of common sense at this point. It's pretty hard to explain, but like, there's if there was only a little bit of circumstantial evidence, maybe I could say, but there's so much, it's overwhelming. They're the same character. And that's why it's a good theory, because there's just, even if there's only one bit of, like, direct confirmation evidence, that's all you need. When there's that much circumstantial evidence, it's worth really considering, because I think, as well as being strict and with the cold hard facts, I think that's important, but also, after you've got all that together, I think it's worth thinking, what just makes sense? Because sometimes what just makes sense is what's there, and Scott just hasn't kind of expressed things well enough for it to properly read with the evidence. Let me catch up with chat. So, I'm not going to talk about the Fnaf emails. Michael's back. Maybe? That whole thing's confused me, to be honest. I think we need to wait for Security Breach to release. Percentage Guy, I have also not been very invested in the story, but I have been following it. It doesn't make sense. The game's just gone from a VR to a pizza plate. It doesn't really make sense. I think we need to wait for Security Breach to release. But basically, in this new timeline, Fazbear Entertainment has just launched we don't know. We really don't know. They've just launched this new location. There was a teaser, there was a connection in Help Wanted, then there was a Christmas update. They added a teaser. You could go through a different door at the end of Pizza Party, and it would take you to a snowy kind of tundra where in the distance the Pizzaplex was being constructed. Sure, you could say, okay, but empirically we don't know it's the same thing, but, you know, what else is it going to be? It's one of those situations where, what else is it going to be that actually makes sense? It's the Pizza Plex.
I'm going to quickly remind the chat of something. Basically, guys, if you have theories, then give evidence.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of chat, so I'm going to have to read
theories that don't have any evidence.
Pretty much, exactly. Even if it's just one bit, it's a starting point, although obviously more is better. You guys are bringing up all kinds of odd stuff, which is really cool, but I'm just going to scroll past it because I don't really have time to talk about all of this. I think Chica's Pie World might be interesting to talk about. I think it might be a good one. TJ's brought that up. And exactly, yeah, the Phantoms, again, as well as this, yeah, the Phantoms only appear with Springtrap on Night 2. That's a great point percentage, guys. So again, more small tidbits of evidence that build up into a mountain of, you know, argument for the Phantoms are just hallucinations created by Springtrap. Because the Phantoms don't line up with the remaining souls. They're not, you know, the lost children as ghosts. That's not what they are. When they break free of the suits in the minigames, we see that they have crying child sprites that don't take the form of the animatronics. Although, you could argue that Golden Freddy appears as a ghost even though he's not an actual suit. Unless it's an actual suit that's now able to teleport because paranormal reasons. Either way, it's haunted. Golden Freddy's weird. I don't think I want to talk about Golden Freddy because that's just several... That's like a box of cans of worms. I don't want to unpack.
Okay, here's something. When do you think Sister Location takes place?
Ooh, that's a good one. This is like a very good starter question for Fnaf Theorist because Sister Location is the only game people don't agree on when happened, and I'm not sure why, because I think we can't pin it down quite as well as the others, but I think there's a very small range it should happen in. I'm just going to finish reading chat and I'll answer that.
Working theory.
Do you want to give your theory while I read chat? You present your theory, because I've got mine. I know what I'm going to say. And I've said it before on the channel. SBL, when do you think Sister Location happens?
Okay, so... Alright, where do I start?
Oh yeah,
So
DJ.
people
Yeah.
have been, debating about when such location takes place for a while. So we're gonna go back to Fazbear Frights for a moment because my theory involves a bit of that. So the very first Fazbear Frights story in Hit basically confirmed one thing. There was in fact a location in 1985.
In the Fazbear Frights continuity, I don't think that applies to the game timeline unless you can get it to work.
I don't think Fazbear Frights as a whole is canon. I feel like there are elements from it that are indeed canon, though.
Yeah, I think they actually do. Scott said look to the books of the past. I think the first 5 volumes have explained pretty much every unresolved mystery in the original 7 games. Not all of them, but most of them. A lot of big stuff that we had no idea we needed to know. I think Scott specifically said 1985 and 6 victims to say that it's a different continuity, though. I don't think that's part of the game time. I think he specifically said that to say that it's a different timeline and that it's a different line of events, even though there's a lot of similarities. But you can disagree. Keep going.
So, even if... No, I'm not saying that 1985 had a location, but I'm just saying that it's a possibility.
Fair.
So
No, that's fair.
Now, going back to Sister Location, and Unit says, after the closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, he does not specify a location.
No,
He
so
doesn't
it's one of the
specify FNAF
Freddys.
1, He doesn't specify FNAF 2. He could be specifying a 1985 location.
Or
Meaning
the
that this location
83.
can take place around a year after the events of 1985 Pizzeria, leading to 1986.
Nice.
That's when I'd put it.
Nice. I think it's 1986 for different reasoning, but that's weird. We've come. My theory comes to the same conclusion, but for different evidence, which is fascinating because that does not happen often. I'm just going to respond to chat, then I'll come back. So, if the phantoms are all in your head, why do they push Springtrap forward? They're not just in your head. I think they do physically exist, or maybe they're only in your head, but they're caused by Springtrap. It's not really explained because it's kind of just paranormal shenanigans you kind of have to accept. There might be an explanation somewhere in Fazbear Frights. I know it sounds lame, but basically Springtrap can do spooky stuff. And when you're being attacked by the phantoms, I think it's like a distraction. It allows Springtrap to move without you really doing anything. It's him getting an advantage on you. It's kind of weird. I think if you read what we found from Fazbear Frights 7, it'll make more sense because Springtrap does a lot of similar stuff there with like hallucinations and stuff. So it's not just in your head. It might not be happening in the physical space, but it is Springtrap kind of doing some witchcraft. Maybe William's actually an alien. That's right, DJ. The broken parts of Scrapshot look pixely because Scott sucks at modeling. I don't know why he made that so bad, but he did.
I mean,
I'm sorry, Scott.
like the models for like the actual in-game parts of FNAF are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
If you can't see LD errors.
Like
But
the
the minigame
clipping.
sprites,
Yeah.
on the other hand. Ugh.
I think Scrunchup's the only model Scott's ever made, which I genuinely dislike. I think he does really good. Like, look at Mangle on the thumbnail, guys. I put Mangle there for a reason. We're going to talk about him or her.
Mangle looks fucking good.
Right? And there's the odd clipping, like Bonnie's bow tie, or Enid's eyebrow just being missing and switching sides, but like, Scrapchap, unlike everyone else, just didn't even look finished. There was something wrong with him. I don't know. Non-canon characters, like Halloween edition of FNAF World, yeah. There's explanations for that I won't go into now, but that's a good point, DJ. And yep, Full-Time Foxy fixed Mangle. This entire video is big brain time. I'm glad you think so. So, okay.
Nightmares basically describes what he is by his own name. He's a nightmare.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna explain my answer to the question now. Basic idea of kind of like the Fnaf timeline. The thing is, this might be a fallacy because of the retcons with FNAF 4 and stuff, but the way I worked things out was to change my theory with each new game. So I start with a timeline with FNAF 1, then I add FNAF 2, then I add FNAF 3, then I add FNAF 4. So the way I've worked it out over time is that, I'm in agreement with Matt Pat. There was a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza sometime around 1983. We also had Fredbear's Family Diner, which shut down that year, but was obviously operating before, as well as Freddy's, although for less time. Fredbear's came first. A lot of people are saying that the entire franchise, nothing happened before 83 because of the coin in FNAF VR. I think that's a different continuity. Also, there was actually in 1982 in one of the FNAF 4 teasers, And Phone Guy did say 20 years. And FNAF, I mean, let's say FNAF 1 isn't in 1993. That is an assumption that Fazbear Entertainment is paying the legal minimum wage. I wouldn't be surprised if it was in, like, 2003 and they weren't. You could make it work that way, but I think there has to have at least been a bit of time before 83 where Fredbear's was starting up and whatnot. I think it all started in like 75 or something, but when have I been right about that thing?
Yeah.
So there's like original Fredbear's.
I need a video explaining why FNAF 1 took place in 1993.
Yeah.
But people are saying, oh, well, by the way, 3, it starts in 1983, yada, yada, so yeah, 20 years later, it must be 2003.
Yeah.
You said that there wasn't a location before 83.
Maybe Scott didn't even plan this stuff out, and, like, he just didn't forget that detail, because, you know, 20 years is a vague statement, but 20 years is different from 10 years, and, like,
also.
You know, like, I think maybe 10 years ago Freddy started, but 20 was Fredbear's or something. You could round that down to 17, but you can't round 20 out of 10. I don't know. It's probably, maybe Scott forgot the detail, and if he made FNAF 1 now, he'd say 10, because he didn't have as big of an idea as on them. He's built the newer games around the older games without a plan from the start, so we could just ignore that. But he's also said he wouldn't change FNAF 1 at all if he could remake it.
I kind of agree with what Scott said. FNAF 1 is basically one of my favorite FNAF games.
Lightning in a bottle, that's what he said. He captured something he's never going to get again. It was the perfect storm of ingredients. But yeah, okay, so basically, regardless of years, I think the order is you have Fredbear's Family Diner, Charlie gets, like, murdered, kidnapped, Freddy's, it gets rebranded into Freddy's, Fredbear still goes for a bit, but it gets shut down in 83 with Freddy's at the same time. Nothing happens for a few years. 1987, you get the grand reopening. 1990, by 1993, you get FNAF 1, and then you got FNAF 3 and Pizza Sim later on. So you've got Fredbear's, Original Freddy's, FNAF 2, then Original Freddy's again, which is FNAF 1. But when exactly that Original Freddy's happens, I guess, is up to debate. Let's say the Bite of 83 happens in FNAF 4 as we see, and Fredbear's Family Diner gets shut down, but Freddy Fazbear's does not. That location could have gone on until 1985, but the missing children's incident cannot have happened that late. Simply because, by FNAF 4, due to FNAF 4's connection to sister location, we know that during those minigames, the Faz Bunker and all of the sister location stuff exists. Okay? If the Funtime animatronics and their location everything exists, the missing children's incident has to have happened before, because it's a progression. William built the animatronics to automate the capturing of Remnant, the murder of these children, after the missing children's incident. It just doesn't make sense if it was the other way around, because how did he, you got to think about his motive. How and why is he doing all of this? The sister location again is after a Freddy's has closed down, and no Freddy's had closed down before like 83. So, you know, it really, sister location can't be like that early. And like, if William hasn't like tried manually doing, you know, why would William create his entire own location and set up this automated Remnant collection if he hasn't just tried doing it himself at Freddy's, you know? It just doesn't really make sense the other way around. I think it also fucks with the FNAF 4 and sister location continuity, because Elizabeth had to have died before FNAF 4. And if Elizabeth is dead, that means all of the sister location stuff has happened anyway, but yeah, it's messy. I still think that sister location happens sometime between 4 and 2. Maybe not exactly 86, but that's what I'm saying. I'm getting. But does that make sense? Do you see the kind of chain of reasoning there, the logic? I've tried thinking about cold evidence, I've tried to think about what would make sense from a storytelling point of view, and I've tried to kind of dodge assumptions and whatnot. And again, interpreting Fazbear Frights is also part of the mix as well. I disagree with Esfield's interpretation, but I think it's valid.
Okay, Octopus, the Nightmares, why are you trying to use a fan game as evidence? Fredbear's Fright is a fan game.
Bruh.
It's not official.
Are you serious? I've never even heard of this fan game. We're talking about canon here. We're not talking about fan games. I love doing theories on fan games. I think as time goes on, because this old story we've gone over so many times, I'm going to start doing this kind of thing for Five Nights at Candy's, Pop Goes, what have you. But for now, we're focusing on canon, buddy. I mean, I think the nightmares were created by William, but not in the way you're saying. First of all,
okay, Shadow Bonnie in the chat. The Freight Fast vs. Pizza 1, the location in 1985, supposedly closed because of the children going missing.
Yeah, it's a little
Springtrap
vague.
failures was FNAF 4.
I think MatPat concluded that those FNAF 3 tapes were the retcon because they implied that the missing children incident happened while Springlocks were banned. But then in FNAF 4 we see Springlock suits in operation at a time when the MCI had to have already happened and was referenced by the pigtail girl. She talked about, you know, the animatronics coming to life at night, which is obviously because they're haunted. And if you disagree...
I mean, to be fair, maybe
the
MCI happened after the...
It can't have, though. It can't. It just doesn't make sense if it doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't fit the evidence unless there's been like a ton of retcons. Let's say that was retconned and the Springlock ban happened after FNAF 4. Elizabeth is still dead in the FNAF 4 minigames, which we know for a fact are in 83. So the MCI can't have happened earlier than maybe just a few months in the same year, because if that follows the trend of the original FNAF games, it's probably the nights are probably happening in November. The minigames could be happening before, but we know it was July, like June 26th, sorry, June, when the MCI happened, so maybe it was June 83 at the latest. But then you've only got like half a year, like less than half a year for loads of things to happen. I don't know, man.
Okay, Octopus in the chat. 83, Fredbear, obviously. 87, likely Mangle.
Yeah.
I think it was probably Mangle.
Alright, let's switch topics. I'm getting tired of this. So, yeah, two things. One, Nightmare Freddy in UCN actually confirmed he was created by William. He says, I am reborn, but not by you, by the one you should not have killed. But I think the nightmares are just the wizards with illusion discs, and we can come back to that if you want. Let's answer the short question first, though.
Wait, I don't think that's how it works, actually.
Oh, I think it is.
If the nightmares were the wizards with illusion discs, then shouldn't Nightmare Bonnie be missing his face and arm?
I don't think they had missing parts yet, because Phone Guy mentions that they tried reusing parts from the old animatronics to build the toys, so they would have only been dismantled at the FNAF 2 location in 87. I think before that we got like Unwizards, where, I mean, Scott's not consistent with his models anyway, so you could put it down to that, but I'm going to try and actually defend it here. I think before that they would have just been a bit old and dusty like in FNAF 1, you know? But, and also, that would kind of explain where they were between sister location, like, around sister location, like, before FNAF 2. Because William, this is going to go into a whole tangent, because I have, like, a whole line of theories that are kind of interdependent and rely on each other for this whole thing to work. But I think William basically had enough ownership of the company, because he co-owned it with Henry, according to the novels, and Henry was the one who was falsely convicted, according to the FNAF 1 newspapers, that while Henry was in prison, William was allowed to take control, and that's how he legally took the animatronics to, like, the FNAF 4 house. It's complicated, though. Let's come back to that. I think Mangle did the bite of 87. Although, some people are saying it could have been Toy Chica, because in UCN, she has a voice line about her beak being in your forehead, and she also has a beak that could probably reasonably do it, but I think there's much more evidence for Mangle. It doesn't really matter which one exactly did it. It was one of the toys, definitely. But I think you know, Mangle's jump scare, you know, the way she hangs on the ceiling, the size of her jaw, her broken kind of nature, some of her voice. I think there's more circumstantial evidence to say Mangle.
In Mangle's jump scare in FNAF 2, your head basically goes into her mouth.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly, yeah. Golden Freddy is controlled by Cassidy. Golden Freddy is Cassidy, depending on who Cassidy is.
I don't like the whole crying child is Golden Freddy theory thing. I don't know, I just don't like it.
As in Bite Victim, FNAF 4, he has so many names. Most people go with the Bite Victim these days, VV. Also,
I say crying child because it's kind of what he is. He's a crying little bastard.
But there's different crying children of like all of them in FNAF 3. So that's why it's less confusing for me. But no, I used to call him crying child as well, but I've gone with Bite Victim because I've been on Reddit. Oh man.
Oh, did Reddit flame you again?
Reddit's influenced my mind. They've, you know, the way to, you know, when one is studying the great mystery, one should look at it in all of its aspects, not just the narrow dogmatic view of the Jedi. I mean the non-Redditors, the Redditors. Oh man. Alright, you guys are throwing so much stuff at me, so I'm sorry I can't go over it all at once. But yeah, for example, Mangle did the Bite of 87. This is still a theory that isn't confirmed. There isn't enough evidence to 100% say it. But it's not too consequential for the story, so you don't have to worry about the whole storytelling aspect. And it's a fun one, because there's lots of bits of some circumstantial evidence. You can get like a maybe 80% confident theory on this one. Like, you know, Mangle's model, jump scare, voice lines. There's a bunch of bits of evidence. But you can't 100% prove it. And those kinds of theories I enjoy because they're not, you know, crucial to the story. But I think things like who is Golden Freddy should have been definitively answered by now, because that's kind of essential for understanding the story, and we haven't got that. So it's led to a lot of frustrating disagreement and inaccurate kind of headcanons, or like whatever. I mean, fan games, headcanons, AUs, whatever, it doesn't matter, but people think they're like telling the canon story and then they're not, because one piece of evidence comes out and it debunks everything. Speaking of which, the survival logbook. The survival logbook, Scott went to try and fix Fnaf 4 by saying it was all an experiment using illusion discs in an underground bunker and like was connected to this old house, and Michael, like the child was like tortured or used for an experiment, and Michael was punished for killing his brother or whatever. And then the logbook said, oh, recent dreams in a book that most people are saying would have been made for Fazbear's Fright, because it's got FNAF 3's office in there and a load of references, which means it would have had to been in like 2023. And it just like contradicts all of that. So I don't know what to think of the logbook. You know, there's way too much in there for it not to be canon. But I don't think it's actually clear if it's even part of the game continuity. I'm sure it is, but I don't know how, because there's so many conflicting details with everything else in there. I'm happy to ignore it for the sake of a better story, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, Octopus in the chat. Yeah, we kind of did know that Chica was... Wait, actually, no, she was not made first. So she is supposedly one of the first kids dead.
Yeah. Esper, what's your interpretation of Withered Chica saying, I was the first, I have seen everything? What's your interpretation of that?
I feel like that means she could have been one of the first victims.
See,
I don't know. I don't want to overthink it.
Yeah, I think it's important not to overanalyze and overthink these things, but sometimes it's the only way. Withered Chica says she's the first and that she's seen everything. This is very vague and open to interpretation because it's out of context. There's no obvious connection here. The way I interpreted it was Withered Chica was the first ever animatronic ever produced by William and Henry, and she just wasn't used at Fredbear's, and it was like a prototype that was brought back later. And the reason I say that, rather than anything
Chica's
to do
Party
with...
World.
Exactly. The reason I say that, rather than anything to do with the spirits, is because the Fourth Closet showed us through Elizabeth that pretty much all of these haunted items have a separate consciousness. The puppet is Charlie and Springtrap is William because they have more willpower and they were older and they, you know, have the willingness to come back. And the same with Golden Freddy. But with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica and Foxy, the animatronic is a feral being that is completely separate as a consciousness to the children. The children live in a kind of flip-side limbo, completely oblivious to reality. We see that when Carlton goes to visit them in the Fourth Closet and he saves them by bringing them all together under the table, whereas the animatronics, you know, they recognize the name of William Afton. They start, like, freaking out in Twisted Ones, and they start marching towards him. It was really weird. That scene didn't make a lot of sense. But the Lost Children only know him as, you know, Spring Bonnie, as their friend. Like, there's this clear disconnect. And in Sister Location, that kind of explains why Baby and Elizabeth have different voices and don't speak at the same time. They're two different entities sharing the same body. You have the child's soul that gives the machine its own consciousness and its own life, because Baby's able to remember things from before she was possessed, even though she wasn't given life until Elizabeth's soul connected with the kind of endo. So... I've forgotten why I was saying this. Oh yeah, that's why I think Chica was the first, because she says I was the first. Chica is the first, not Susie was the first, because Charlotte has to have been killed before Susie for FNAF 2 to make sense, and all of the kind of chronology. If Susie was killed first, that means the missing children's incident happened before, because that was in like the space of a week, unless they were all killed at the same time. But like, it just doesn't really make sense if Charlotte wasn't possessed by the puppet first for, you know, quite a period of time. And, you know, like, she's the one who gave life to the others, so how can Susie have come first? It doesn't make sense. It just kind of contradicts. So I think it means Chica.
I just remembered something.
Oh, yes.
So, since I have the FNAF 1 textures and sounds downloaded, I can basically the files to see what the heck is going on here.
We can look at the FNAF 1 newspapers.
I'm pretty sure you guys know this already, but...
What are we doing?
The left corner, or no, not the left corner, sorry, the right corner has actually some secret newspaper clippings.
Yeah, the 4 secret newspapers. This is a great thing to talk about because this ties into a big original theory. Like, I have a few original theories which I've actually kind of pieced together into my own timeline, which hardly anyone else probably agrees with. One of the points is that the Wizards are the nightmares. I've seen surprisingly few people say this. And one of the points is also that Henry Emily was convicted sometime around 1983 or earlier for the MCI instead of William. Which I know sounds random because it didn't happen that way in the novels, but I think there's actually a good amount of evidence for it that would just kind of make sense. A lot of it's from the novels, but also the FNAF 1 newspapers, which I don't think have been retconned.
Octopus in the chat, Charlotte forgetting William? Don't make me laugh. That actually sounds really dumb.
She says, I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way. This is the only voice line in UCM that doesn't really fit in with the idea that the protagonist is William. I think there's two ways of explaining this. One, it's like a memory. It's like a flashback of what she'd say to Jeremy, because some of the voice lines are kind of just like echoes, which I'd be perfectly fine with. The other one's a bit more controversial.
Yeah.
It could be that we also play as Michael, because they still can't tell the difference, and both Michael and William are trapped in purgatory.
Wait. Just one thing I don't understand. If William is the protagonist in UCN, then why is Springtrap and Scraptrap there, who are literally William? Doesn't make sense. Why would he fight himself?
Why are there two babies? Why are there two Freddys, Bonnies, Chicas, and Foxies? Why are there multiple whoever? There's like Enid and Morton Freddy. The UCN Purgatory, even if we do take it literally, which some people don't. I was talking to my girlfriend Lucy about this. Apparently she doesn't even interpret it as like a literal thing, and that the entire gameplay is more just kind of metaphorical, but they do reference their game mechanics as well as lore and voice lines, so I think it is 100% like literal. Even if you interpret it that way, it's golden. It's kind of weird. It's a case of paranormal superpowers, can't really explain it. Somehow the one you should not have killed has created a kind of void purgatory, like in the void, like this is in a completely different plane of reality, or maybe it's inside William's head, hallucination style, like Fnaf 3 in reverse, because the man in room 1280 gave us a different interpretation of that. Either way, it's kind of, it's either all in their head or it's some kind of like alternate dimension, and I think at this point Golden Freddy's able to see everyone's memories. Like, I can't think of a different explanation. I'm imagining that they can just kind of connect with everyone's memories, because memory and emotion have a lot to do with how things are haunted in the universe. The logic's still not 100% yet, but I think we're working it out slowly. And through that, he's able to create kind of what are basically either hallucinations or like phantoms of everyone. Like, it's not really real. It's you know, UCN can't like be real in the same way it does. It's not quite as literal, or it's in a different plane around. So there's not really a proper explanation, but honestly, like, I don't think it matters. You know, I think the fact that Scraptrap always says I always come back as well is kind of the one you should not have killed, mocking William, and just kind of making him see. You know, the time music is called Istrossophobia, fear of your own reflection. William is literally seeing himself as well as what he's created, and you know, the one you should not have killed is trying to scare him with his own reflection, Springtrap and Scraptrap, among other things. I don't know. This is more of a kind of like vague. This is what kind of works for the story kind of thing, because there's not really a proper explanation for how. It's the best I can do. I'm sorry. There just isn't evidence, as far as I'm aware. You can't really prove or disprove what I'm saying, unfortunately. What gender is Yendo?
Can I get back to what I was saying about the newspapers?
Let's listen to SPL. I've been nattering too long.
So basically, you know about the newspapers from FNAF 1. Basically, they say kids vanish, but as far as I can see, yeah, they're not saying 5 kids were alerted at once.
No.
One of them is saying that 2 local kids, not 5, just 2. And then another one says, now it's 5 children.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe it doesn't... it doesn't have to be saying that they were all murdered at once.
No.
They could have been murdered at different times.
This is a big misconception that the entire fandom's had for a long time, because these newspapers were quickly forgotten about until, proper theorists like us came back to them. I even heard some dumbass on Reddit interpret this as, oh, there was 2 and then 5, so there were 7 children who went missing, which is ridiculous.
That's stupid.
Stupid. I don't even know what to say. No, William we saw exactly what happened to Susie in Pizza Sim. We literally saw one of the 5 there. I think they were probably loaded one at a time, maybe 2 at a time in one case, but kind of gradually over the course of a week. It mentions something like, by the end of the week, there's now 5 children associated with the, kidnappings. Something like that.
I like to interpret it as Chica goes missing, or the Chica kid goes missing, then
Susie,
Foxy and Bonnie go missing, and then finally Freddy and Golden Freddy.
Why that particular order?
Well, I mean, Susie, I don't know. I just feel like Susie said, I cannot speak. River Chica's voice line saying she was the first and shit. And then after that, I feel like Bonnie and Foxy would have to come after, because then, I don't know, I like to interpret the Freddy and Golden Freddy kids being
It's okay if it's just your headcanon.
To be fair, they're both, they both possess Freddys.
I feel like William is also the kind of creep who would be like, oh, I'll put the twins in the bears together. They'll have fun or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. They're not twins. They're not twins. Wow. Let's just ignore Golden Freddy right now, because Golden Freddy's a whole shenanigan. It's only okay if that's just headcanon. I think we can confirm that Susie was the first of the MCI. Just because there's been so much emphasis on her, and that could be what the UCN voice line meant. But also, maybe Golden Freddy was the last, because in Give Gifts, Give Life, you can do the 4 animatronics in any order. They're always in the same corners, respectively, but you can give life to Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy in whatever order you want. But Golden Freddy always appears last, and the puppet Charlotte did not give life to Golden Freddy, whether that's Cassidy or whatever their name is. Golden Freddy brought themselves to life out of sheer rage. Although, weirdly, despite being shown to be the 5th MCI child in FNAF 2, since then there's been evidence to say the FNAF 4 bite victim is Golden Freddy. And then there was, Golden Both, which is it's actually both of them sharing a body. But then that was kind of disproven, sort of, and it's all up in the air right now. I don't think Frights is going to answer it, though, because it seems to have veered off answering lore questions since Volume 5. I feel like Frights has done answering lore questions. With Volumes 5 and 6, I feel like we got the last kind of references to the original 6, 7 games. I think now it's just doing its own thing. I agree with chat, by the way, and yes, Mangle is the dog. Do you remember this one?
Yeah, Mangle, I remember this one. I'm pretty sure Susie's dog is likely, in fact, Mangle.
Okay, I'm just letting you guys know about it. I've got to do a Minecraft stream in a few minutes. I'm just going to start it slightly late, but I'm going to do back-to-back this one. So I'm just going to type a notice right now. Do you think Mangle is the dog, though, SPL?
Probably not.
Really? Okay.
I mean, I don't think a dog would have any reason to try killing Jeremy Fitzgerald in FNAF 2.
But remember, the animatronic is a separate entity to the spirit. If we apply the same logic, that is an assumption. But I think it's a logical assumption. Good point, though. Because the thing is, there's only 1 or 2 pieces of evidence that Mangle is the dog. In fact, I don't even know how the theory started. We know that a dog died in Pizza Sim's Fruity Maze minigame. I don't know how people got that to being Mangle is the dog, but in UCN there was a line from Samurai Foxy in The Bear's Revenge saying to the Mangle character in that cutscene intermission, remember to feed the dog. Wait, you are the dog. And I think UCN was all about confirming theories. There were loads of little things which just slot the final piece of evidence in for a lot of theories. So for me, that's Scott saying to Matt Pat, you got it, Mangle's the dog. Because then that explains how JJ is moving around and stuff. Because JJ's possessed, haunted by the 5th DCI victim, the Dead Children's Incident from 87, saved them, the 5 kids who were murdered there. That kind of explains JJ being active, because there wasn't the numbers didn't match for that. I think Mangle is the dog. Even though it's very little evidence, it just feels right because of that weird detail in UCN. And also JJ. I will happily be accidentally wrong. There's like no evidence for it, but it's one of those few things which I just like.
Also, this is kind of random, but I actually did encounter JJ once in FNAF 2.
Nice! Very rare Easter egg. I also like how her mechanic is disabling doors, so it explains why she didn't do anything in FNAF 2, and Scott kind of worked around her just being an Easter egg at the time.
Yeah.
Alright. Guys, I need to end off the stream now, so let's finish off. Let's cap things off. Can we finish things off?
Let's finish.
We've talked about Mangle, Security Puppet, you know, all kinds. We've talked about the FNAF 1 newspapers and when FNAF 2 and 4 assist location time. I think the only major thing we haven't talked about is Molten Freddy and the FNAF 3 ending, but we can talk about that another time.
I think Golden Freddy needs his own debate direct stream trying to theorize what he is.
Right, maybe I should just do an entirely dedicated stream saying who or what the fuck is Golden Freddy. We need to solve this. I think I'm going to wait till Frights is finished just in case, but might be worth it. Again, guys, once Fazbear Frights is finished, I'm going to be doing loads of Fazbear Frights related streams because I've been wanting to do them since the start, but they're going so quickly now, and I'm slow on making notes. I just want to wait till the Lemmings finish and see what the community's like saying. Because then, like, I wouldn't have to, like, quickly amend the stream with another stream, like, the next day or whatever. Well, you gotta remember, the animatronics speak like adults, DJ, despite being possessed by children. You know, they have a decent vocabulary, even though some of them sound like children. I would just say, honestly, that the animatronics are their own consciousness. I think this has been shown time and time again. We didn't get, like, proof until Fourth Closet, but when you apply the logic, with some exceptions, like Scrap Baby, the Puppet / Lefty, Springtrap, because they have, like, more willpower, you know, emotional intelligence. Springtrap is the only case of an adult being possessing an animatronic we've ever seen. You know, I think there's a sort of logic there. It's maybe not the most fleshed out, but I think it's there. Nightmare Fredbear's voice lines also have some canon ability. Yes, they have some canon ability. Canon ability. Oh, I love canon ability. Canonicity. I understand it's hard, but I think canonicity is the correct word. I might be making that up, but Shakespeare made up like thousands of words, so I think I'm allowed to make up one or two.
There, I made up a word.
Boom. He did it, guys. He did it. Alright, guys, I'm going to end the stream now. If you have enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share with your friends, bloody frickin' bar. Today's charity shout-out goes to Crisis, I want to say. I think this is the next on the list. These guys are working to end homelessness in the UK. And I think...
What about the US?
Fuck the US. I'm sorry.
Aw, come on!
I'm afraid they're only UK based. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's a problem in the US as well. The US definitely needs help. But,
mental or physical?
All of it. We all do. These guys are totally legit, guys. You can see the statistics for yourself. Maybe if you're not in the UK, this isn't relevant, but I'm sure there's an equivalent for you. If you donate or share or get involved in one of these ways, you're helping a great cause, so check them out. The link is in the description. I'm also going to give a shout out to my boy, right now my boy.
My boy.
The new boy, SPL Studios. Should I link Voltage Productions or SPL?
Voltage is basically all my other channels and stuff grouped together as one.
Right, that's like my H2O Productions. Voltage Productions is in the description, guys, so check that out, but, he goes by SPL more often now. Check out SPL Studios, he's on Game Jolt. He makes some pretty great, FNAF engine games, which I'm going to be doing a dedicated stream to this Friday. We're going to be doing another collab. I've already had a glance at Testing 101, which has had an update, which is looking great. Whole bunch of things, check it out, and QOTD winner, we only had one, that goes to Livy for saying the exact same thing as, SPL, which I think is fair enough. Check out Livy, guys. She's got a YouTube channel. She does some great videos. She plays a lot of kind of Nintendo kind of games. She plays some PlayStation 1 stuff I want to check out. Very nostalgic. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. Links in the description. Support the channel. Thanks. XPL, you can do the outro on this one, right? We're going to do the thing where I go to the end screen and you finish us off. So enjoy.
Hell yeah.
Alright. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay hydrated.
Okay. Alright. We're gonna do a bit of a twist. This is not Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. So just remember to smile. You are the face of Red Bear Robotics Incorporated. Yeah, see? It's not Fazbear Entertainment this time. Haha. Right. Right. No, it's Driver Robotics Dijo. Right. Oh. Again. Remember to smile. You are the face of Red Bear Robotics Incorporated.